let's talk about the apocalypse. And if we are dealing with the apocalypse, what will be the guns that we will use during that apocalypse? Well, believe it or not, especially the prepper community is highly divided when it comes to firearms. Everybody has their own mindset, or not their own mindset. Everybody has their own opinion and their mindset, and you're either with them or you're against them. But I'm doing this in a different way. I'm doing this so you can make your own conclusions and think for yourself and see what actually is right for you. Now, some time ago, you guys heard me saying that I was going to be switching to my KS-47 because I needed something a little bigger, but cheaper. You know, I live in Alaska, so I have significantly large four-legged creatures. In fact, there are more legged creatures here than people. I'm not complaining. And I said, I'm going to switch to a 762 by 39 from my 308 because it's just cheaper. The 308 has gone up in price significantly. And I did this just to save money. And this is a comparison. 308, 762. You know, the size matters when it comes to sending rounds, especially for large animals. However, I did that because of economic reasons. You know, you don't do nothing with telling people stick with the 308. The 308, my God, it's the 308 is it, or 306, or I don't know, 300 Win Mag, or I don't know, 338, whatever your poison is. It really doesn't matter much. The point here is, what is it you are able to afford? Because I went from a 308, which is my preferred to tell you the truth, to a 762 because of price. Because I want to remain proficient. And in order for you to remain proficient, you have to practice. However, things are getting a little hard when it comes to ammunition purchases and whatnot, because prices are not going down. So now, I'm like, holy crap, am I being priced out now from the 762? Do I now have to downgrade from the 762 to a 5.56? You all probably are like, oh my God, Billy, can you even hunt with a 5.56? Well, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you will say, with the 308, definitely you can take things down. I mean, I've proven it. I have. With the 5.56, down in Florida, not a problem. Here, bigger animals, you know, the whole thing, like you need a bigger hole and whatnot. However, I was talking to somebody, a native in here, and I was, just sharing that because we were just talking about, shooting and whatnot. We were at the shooting range. And I said, God almighty, I'm having a hard time, with ammunition prices. And he said, it's like, what is it that you use it predominantly for? And I was citing the other one that you guys saw in the shore somewhere. And I said, well, the 308 for hunting purposes and whatnot, I use it for moose, for anything. I don't have a problem with that one. I said that 762, I will feel comfortable up to 150 yards. And he looked at me and he's like, well, but you citing a 5.56, a 223. That's what he said, 223. And I said, yeah, because I want to practice a little bit more with this. And, at least the fundamentals, because they just, I can afford $8, but the 762, even the training one is $14, and the 308, we talking about now, it goes to like almost $18-24. So it's like, I'm like, send out 3 or 4 boxes every week, and it adds up at the end of the month, and at the end of the year it's even more. He's like, yeah, I understand that. Trust me, I understand that. So after a conversation, he was like, I don't want to tell you what to do or anything. I'm going to share with you what we do in the villages. And I said, in the villages? And he's like, yeah, I'm living right now in this one, but prior to that, I live in the other one because I was born in the other one. And I said, oh, okay, cool. So he said to me, he's like, listen, what we use is a Mini 14 in the villages. The 223. That's what we use. And I said, for everything? He's like, yes. I said, isn't that a little anemic for, I don't know, a moose? He's like, Billy, let me ask you this. How many rounds you send when it comes to the 308? And I said, it took me 3 rounds. 3 rounds. He's like, that's fine. And let me ask you this now. If it takes you 10 rounds of 5.56 or 223, will you be okay? I said, absolutely. I mean, the cost is still way less. So he further expand on the idea of, he's like, this whole thing of one shot and that's it. You know how it is. Real life don't work that way. Even with the perfect shot, you're going to have to sometimes send the second, third, even a fourth one. And I said, yeah, you're right. He's like, how about you change your mindset? And instead of just a big bullet, how about you change that into something smaller? I always consider shot placement, but put as many holes as possible. Increase the damage. And I was like, okay, but wouldn't that wound the animal? He's like, let me ask you something else. I said, all right. He's like, when it comes to this two, and you said that you have 308 and 5.56, I said, yeah, this is, one of this, and I have AR-10s and whatnot, and M1As and whatnot. He's like, okay, good. He's like, what do you shoot faster? The 5.56 or the 308? I was like, oh, definitely the 5.56. Definitely. He's like, aiming, right? I was like, yeah. He looked at me and he was like, well, my friend, I think that's your answer. That's what we learned a long time in the villages. Now, this is a story that I heard. I had not experienced me personally this. So I'm just sharing what I heard. I went online, I started doing a little bit of research, and based on my research, the answer is yes. Folks in the villages have used the Mini 14 to hunt with good shot placement and follow-up shots. They have been successful taking large animals. In fact, their preferred round for bears is the 223. Again, you got to do now your own research. But what I'm trying to say here is you cannot say to everyone the best apocalypse round is just a 308. Maybe for you it is. You cannot say to someone the best apocalypse round is the 762x39. Maybe for you it is. You cannot say that the 5.56 is for everyone. Maybe for you it is. For you, what is that you can afford? Because if you cannot afford it, then you do absolutely nothing. You see what I'm saying? So, as you see on top of me, I'm getting that one ready for my son. Part of his homeschool, believe it or not, is shooting range. And because of that, he's going to be using the 5.56 a lot more. Because I can afford $8. When it comes to the 7.62 by 39, I think, my personal opinion, I think that I want to, at a minimum, use this for hunting purposes. Not this one in particular, but the 7.62. However, if for some reason I feel that little thing inside of me saying, Billy, might as well go with the 308, and I can afford it, that is definitely what I'm going to do. So the whole thing here is, there is no perfect or magical bullet. Don't believe that for 1 second. At the end of the day, an animal will go down due to massive trauma, blood loss, and as how many holes you put in that body. If you destroy the body with so many holes, it don't matter whether it's a 308, a 7.62, or a 5.56, it will go down. You get what I'm saying? If you send 20 rounds down and you hit that animal 20 times, if that animal survive, I don't know what to tell you. I just want you to understand. I heard this firsthand from somebody who has lived in the villages. I went and I did a little bit of research, and I find out that, you know, not that I want to call him a liar or anything. I just wanted to see for myself, you know, and what others are saying, that it is doable. But is your comfort level there? Are you okay by doing that? Or are you okay with just sending a box a week and that is it? Or sending a box a month? To me, my issue is that one box doesn't even get me started. And it's just not me. At a minimum, it's me and my son. So we go through quite a bit every week because it is required by his homeschool. I have to send pictures on everything. And if we want to remain proficient with our tools, well, unless you practice, you ain't going to be proficient. So let me know what you think. What will be the apocalypse gun, if you have anything in mind? I'm curious to know. I just wanted to share that with you. I think that conversation was very interesting. You always learn something new. You always learn something new. And there's always somebody up there who knows and has lived more than you. With that being said, I hope you have a great one. Like always, rock on, prep on, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody. Power outages, camping, work on the go. Opus keeps you connected at home and outdoors. With clean, reliable energy, Opus powers freedom. Opus, the choice of the frontier preppers. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the links in the pinned comment below. Consider joining our Frontier Prepper Squad or let an ad to you run. It really does make a difference. And always remember, those who prepare today will not struggle tomorrow.